Hello, I am back. Today, I want to talk about another Ukraine thing, just the side from yours. Australia should pursue a peace policy rather than war, bring peace in Ukraine, oppose involvement in the conflict in Ukraine. The nations in which have been threatening Australia directly in history has been Japan in World War II, for example. And with Japan, Australia has made a pact of enhancing military cooperation with Japanese military. Russia has not threatened Australia, but Australia has threatened Russia. This trend of one-sided attacks it's not just recent, but even in the Cold War with the opposition to the USSR, it has been said that the Ukraine president Zelensky is acting as a puppet to the United States agendas. With also media like WION in India published on the 10th of March 2022 critiquing him by saying he promised to defend every inch of Ukraine's territory. Now he's open to concessions. He's open to abandoning his quest for NATO membership. What changed in 14 days? It's simple. In simple words, Zelensky got a taste of reality. He made three strategic miscalculations, which we defined as one, first being ultimately overestimating the amount of Western support. Two, being oversold on Ukraine's importance to the West. And three, misreading Putin's real intentions. WION continued to say, put yourself in Zelensky's boots. You have the world's most powerful military alliance promising support. You have lethal weapons pouring in every day. You have promises of unprecedented sanctions on Russia. It is not surprising that Zelensky decided to fight. The West promised him sovereignty, but they refused to fight for it. History will judge him for that. All this Twitter fanfare, all this YouTube glory will disappear. What will remain in this, Ukraine is making the same compromises that Russia first demanded. In times of this, rational heads in leadership in regional issues is critical. And of Ukraine and Russia, there was a 2014 coup, which then led to what we have now, the actions of the new government since 2014. This is a situation which could have been resolved with cooler heads, with rational hearts and people who put common good will people above their own power politics. Australia's case is one of a situation where we have like the pandemic foresight, yet we still chose to have a initially ineffective action. And with regards to Ukraine, we had foresight once more to the cause of tension, and this time it was longer than the pandemic warnings. The Ukraine crisis, we had 8 years of foresight to work with. We had 8 years to develop a constructive role as a responsible actor in global politics. The result of the post-2014 coup in Ukraine led to a divide in Ukraine society, which continued the separation which went back to World War II. The divide of that of East and West Ukraine. And there is no excuse for powers like the European Union and Australia to be ignorant of that. In that World War II setting, there was a north of Ukraine having SS divisions and Nazi affiliation, being more strongly there, which even the German Nazis considered brutal and excessively violent. That regime was Weislamat Ukraine, so I can't say it correctly. That is spelled REIGHSKOMMISSARIAT, Ukraine, where under their regime, a wholesale genocide was done, which numbered up to 1.6 million victims. That include Jewish, Polish, and so on. The East was always more aligned to Russia and Russian culture. Post-Cold War, the divide also comes into relevancy in Ukraine, as elections was based on the, as mentioned, East-West divide, where Russian candidates got more support in eastern Ukraine and more pro-Western or pro-right-wing candidates got more support in the north of Ukraine. Now, in 2014, where bias to the north of Ukraine was ensured by the coup. The direct result was a large push towards a more extreme Ukrainian nationalism and a soft cultural genocide against Russian language, culture, and with, of course, language being included to that. Unspeakable acts being done by right-wing elements that came out of the coup. So there has been an abundance of time for this in retrospect to understanding the political situation of Ukraine. With a situation like this, then alongside of flooding, which has hit many areas of Australia, which according to the Geoscience Department of the Australian government says, the most costly summer for floods in Australia was 2010-2011, with extensive flooding in the Lockyer Valley, Ipswich and Brisbane in January 2011. This flooding resulted in a cost of Australian dollars of accounting to 6.64 billion. And it said after, and saying after there were 35 deaths and 20,000 people who were made homeless. Between 1967 and 2013, the average direct annual cost of flooding has been estimated at 943 million, excluding the cost of death and injuries. And with the impact of recent floodings in Australia, it would have been very wise to fix the issue facing Australia as a priority. While on the 25th of February of 2022, Peter Dutton said the following: "No, we've been very clear we are not sending troops to Ukraine. That's been very clear. The European nations and NATO itself have incredible capability. There will be some assistance that can be provided, and that will be something we can talk about at the appropriate time. Obviously, we have been in discussion with our allies and partners about what assistance could be provided pre and post any conflicts, so to work out through all to that. We have already made announcements about accommodating visa holders more quickly and putting those cases on top of the pile, and more that's already being actioned by the Australian Border Force, which ruled out sending Australian soldiers to fight directly. The arms trading, supplies trading still went ahead. On the 1st of March 2022, Scott Morrison said that the following: that traveling to Ukraine to join the fight would be legally ambiguous and a suicide mission, while also announcing arms deal to be sent to Ukraine. 70 million Australian dollars of missiles and ammunition was pledged to be sent to support the Ukrainian government. This was again when the floods issue was starting and people was starting to lose housings. 70 million was to be sent in goods overseas in aid in a war. Meanwhile, Australians could have used the 70 million to better deal with natural disasters. He said when he was doing these deals, the world was divided between autocratic authoritarian regimes and liberal democracies, and Australia could not be absent in standing up for its principles. Yet the principle of protecting the citizens was ignored in respects to the flood damages. In conclusion, the Liberal Party has, in its ordeal around Ukraine, been putting priorities on weapons and conflict over peace, hindering hindsight, and has been trying to actively undermine peace while also denouncing and trying to pressure Russia. The position this makes is one of total support of Ukraine and of completely ignoring Russia's legitimate concerns with regards to regional security. Ultimately, the goal is peace. And Australia should be or if they wanted to be in their name as someone who even cares about democracy or freedom, someone who actually stands up for peace. Yet ultimately, alas, like normal, they don't. That is all for now, and I hope to see you again later.